look, we both did Fury Usyk. I still feel like I'm on the high from that, and I'm slowly coming down, and then it's bang straight back into fight week for Josh Taylor versus Jack Catterall, which was an incredible atmosphere. Just something special. It really was. The first direct arena was sold out, and look, I've been there before, as you have, and it's always Josh Warrington's home. So it was
Yeah.
strange to be on the broadcast with Warrington and it not be him in the ring. But it's good. It's good to see that Catterall's got a fan base, Taylor's got a fan base, and it was just a fantastic fight. I think people forget the first fight actually wasn't that great. It was controversial, but it wasn't that great. Where this fight, it just delivered. In terms of the scorecards, obviously at 117, 111 twice, 116, 113 by the other judge. How did you see it? I don't know if you scored it. How did you see the fight?
I did watch it. I was watching it with a group of people. I wasn't watching it on my own with a pen and paper. But I thought, at the very worst, you would have to give it 7-5 to Jack Catterall. And I actually gave it probably 8-4 to him. It
Okay.
was, in that first fight, Catterall threw 219 more punches than Taylor and landed 47 more than him, according to CompuBox. In this one, Catterall threw 40 more punches than Taylor and landed 14 more. But Catterall landed 88 jabs to Taylor's 60, and Taylor landed 102 power punches to Catterall's 88. It was a much, much closer fight.
Yeah.
And the power of the jab of Jack Catterall won him this fight.
Yeah, look, I thought it was a really good fight. It kind of got going from the very first round. I think Taylor almost tried to show that I'm still that guy. I'm still very much an elite 140-pound fighter, and we'll talk about whether he is or not. I want to quickly go back to the 117, 111. Look, judging is so difficult in the sport, and there were a few swing rounds, and
Yeah.
if there are swing rounds, then you know, I guess it's what you like, right? I just feel like for some reason we've taken away the fact that you can score a round even. I feel like it doesn't happen as much anymore. If a round is close and you're a judge, you can just give it to both. And I feel like maybe with what happened in their first fight a couple of years ago, because Catterall kind of, if you like, got robbed in that first fight, I felt like the swing rounds automatically went to Catterall, which is maybe where 117, 111 came.
No, I think you're spot on. That's exactly what happened on the night. It's 117, 111 to those uninitiated in it. That's 9 rounds to 3 that the bout's been scored. It is possible to score that bout 9 rounds to 3 for Jack Catterall, but you'd have to give. I think Taylor won 4 rounds. I don't think there's much disputing that when he came back in rounds, was it 7, 8, 9, 6, 7, 8, something like that, and he came back strong and he came back and really got into the fight, and Catterall looked like he was having a round off, then he looked fatigued. You could arguably go for 17-11, but you can even have 117-11 in a very close fight. But I do think there was no way this time around that Catterall wasn't going to get a decision. I mean, presumably you gave it to Catterall the first time. I gave him the first fight by a round or 2. I had that close as well.
Yeah, look, no, yeah, I gave Catterall the first fight, and I gave him obviously this one as well. But there was this sort of very somber image of Catterall in the changing room after the fight. We had Ali Drew doing some backstage stuff, and there was Catterall in the corner, and you're thinking this is the biggest win of his career, but it was almost as though he was reflecting that this isn't the undisputed. He didn't get a world title. This hasn't changed his life. You're not in the history book. So yes, he got the win, and that's the most important thing, but he almost felt like he should have got it last time, and the rewards would have been so much bigger. Don't get me wrong, look, he's going to go on hopefully to have a fight against Teofimo Lopez or someone, but I almost felt like he knew that the win he would have got a couple of years ago would have changed his life, whereas this one hopefully will in the long run, but didn't on the night.
No, I think in the fullness of time, he will appreciate the 26-month wait that he had to endure before he didn't want the titles, I don't think, in the end, as much as wanted the scalp of Josh Taylor. I mean, imagine just having to carry that for so long, and that's what I think is very strong about him. it also took an awful amount out of him, the fight. I think it was an exhausting affair. It was a grueling fight. They both gave everything they've got. Um, and like you say, there will be a degree of reflection on the fact that he didn't win the undisputed title. But it's one of those scenarios that, if you remember the second Gennady Golovkin, Saul Canelo Alvarez fight, I think it was the second one. Was it the second one or the first one? Where Golovkin definitely beat Canelo. Definitely beat him.
First one.
It was the first one. I should remember I was there. The first one. And everybody knows in history that he won that fight. 8-4 or at least 7-5 in a very similar scenario. There will be a sadness about it, but I just think he'll feel an enormous relief that he's actually got the win over Josh Taylor. So much so, I don't know if we're going to come to it in a minute, and you want to talk about the trilogy, that I'm not sure it's needed.
Interesting. I mean, look, if it makes money, it makes sense, and we will get to that as well in terms of options for both. Okolie is back in the win column. Obviously, look, had that fight against Chris Billam-Smith, lost his world title, took some time out, switched trainers, now with Joe Gallagher, and moved up to bridgerweight. A lot of people maybe thought he was going to do the jump to heavy. Decided bridgerweight was his first port of call. Went to Poland, beat Rosansky, who beat Babic convincingly in the first round. Okolie did the reverse on him. Okolie knocked him out and beat him and destroyed him very easy in the first round. So Okolie's now the WBC bridgerweight champion. I'm not very happy for Lawrence Okolie. Very happy to see him back on track. I don't have much love for the bridgerweight division, if I'm honest with you, just because all the other sanctioning bodies are not in it. There are not. There's not a group of guys in that division to make competitive fights yet. But I'm happy for Okolie that he's now back on track, and maybe it's an immediate jump to heavyweight. Maybe it's a couple of guys that are small heavyweights coming down to fight him for that title.
Yeah, well, look, excuse me. Lawrence Okolie is accused of having a smash and grab style, and it was exposed a little bit, or in a big way, I suppose, against Chris Billam-Smith in Bournemouth in his last fight. And he had a lot to prove in this fight. But what he did in Poland was exactly that, smash and grab. He smashed and grabbed a world title belt, got his career back intact, no overtime, did for Rosansky what Rosansky did to Alan Babic. I'd said it all along, go in there and meet fire with fire. It's the only way Rosansky knows how to fight, and just knock him out. And that's what Okolie did. And I didn't think either of them anyway would be standing after 5-6 rounds. One of them would be knocked out. And I just think he did a great job. Great left hand. Even Rosansky was surprised afterwards. And this was a guy who knocked out 14 of 15 opponents. So I'm really pleased for Lawrence. I completely agree with you on the bridgerweight scenario. I think he might make one defence of it, and then he'll disappear up to heavyweight.
Yeah. In terms of a heavyweight option, like if you could pick a fighter that he should go in against, I said I wouldn't mind seeing him against Dillian Whyte. That there was a bit of heat from a sparring session a couple of years back, and there was a lot of talk about maybe him doing that fight. Dillian Whyte's on the comeback trail. Dillian Whyte wouldn't want to fancy it, not because he's scared, but obviously Dillian Whyte will be looking at bigger fish. But I don't mind that one for Okolie. I don't mind that down the line. Lawrence Okolie, Dillian Whyte.
Well, I mean, it's been set up for a long time that fight may happen. There's bad beef, or there has been bad blood and bad beef between them in the past. Lawrence has power. There's even been mention of Deontay Wilder and Lawrence Okolie at heavyweight, by the way.
They're the same weight.
They're the same weight, exactly. They can both make Bridger, by the way. So Deontay can always come down to Bridger and fight him if it doesn't go well for him in Saudi, by the way.